What does low house price growth mean for British homeowners? Today, I'm joined by Richard Donnell, who is the research director for Zoopla. And I want to ask him why, after house prices are really only going up by a few percentage points in the last few years, what that means to homeowners. Richard, talk to me.
Hi there. Well, it's a challenge because I think house prices we've got used to house prices rising by 6 to 7% a year over a whole range of years. And actually what someone can get for their home unlocks the value of their next move, basically. Now, the average person selling their home last year in 2024 was sitting on a £60,000 gain. That's what they take forward into the next property, and it's what they can afford. But I think homeowners are starting to wake up to the fact that property prices haven't been rising as quickly, and actually there's some quite big variances right around the country, and you kind of can't believe the national headlines because kind of what's happening in Manchester or Blackburn or Wigan is very different to kind of what's happening in Belgravia or Wimbledon.
It's interesting. My daytime job, as you know, but some people watching might not know, is I create local property market content for estate agents. And recently, we've done two fillers. One was house price growth between 95 and 2025, and the other one was 2005 and 2025. And we had areas where house prices had grown by 60 or 70%, and we'd had areas that had grown by 200%.
Yeah,
And the it's amazing. And if you go back, 30 years, there's areas in London that have gone up by 800 or 900%, and other places like Blackpool or some other areas, 100, 200%.
yeah. I think now, actually, interesting. I mean, the real challenging market is inner London, right? So the average value of a flat in London today is the same as it was in 2016. That's only 10 years ago in nominal terms, right? So affordability, tax changes, post-Brexit,
So in real terms, they're cheaper.
yeah, they are. And I think London was really overvalued in 2015, just as all the tax breaks came in. London had sort of hit peak growth, and all the mortgage affordability testing arrives. It's just taken the kind of legs out of the inner London market. The liquidity's improved, but prices are going sideways. And I think you're just seeing much weaker growth in southern England. And I think that what this really means is that, it's really important homeowners who want to move, because a lot of people do want to move. More people tell us they want to move home in the next 2 years than will move. And so for the challenge for businesses like ours and agents is how do we get people realistic about moving? How do we get them to realize what they need to unlock their move? And obviously the value of your home is a today, or what it might be tomorrow, is a key part in that decision making.
I mean, surely it's not what yours is worth. It's what the cost of the move is, isn't it? And that's where the estate agents should be coming in and educating people. Say, it's irrelevant what yours is worth. It's
Or what you think it's worth. So, no, I agree. I think for me, the question that every consumer should be forced to ask an agent, but won't, is, there's this conversation around what should I put it on the market for? Maybe I don't know how much of a conversation happens around how much people are bidding below the asking price. The real question every consumer should really ask is, if I really wanted to sell my house for the next 6 weeks or get a sole subject contract, what price would that be at? And then contrast that with what you would like to put it on the market for, basically. And again, I haven't got a problem with some sellers who absolutely need X for their property to unlock Y for the next one, but they just need to realize that they are sort of potentially taking a risk. They've got to hope everything sort of stacks up. Whereas if you're moving because your family's not well and you've absolutely got to move, well, you need to know what that number is compared to the slightly more hopeful number.
why do you think estate agents aren't very brave at telling homeowners the
I don't
price?
know. I've never been an agent, right? So I think we'd have to ask them. But I think it's again, I think it's about where property portals and other people come in. Is trying to get consumers to think more and ask the right questions of agents, basically. But I think if people come in with a very set view of what they need or want or what they think they need, particularly if they've gone out and found a property they want, that's 400 or 300 or 250, and then they kind of do the maths and go, well, I need to get this for my home. I think it's just, and I'm sure some agents do have this conversation about pricing and the link to value. And it's something we've been working on, with trying to make consumers sort of the penny to drop on the link between price and likelihood of interest and saleability, basically. So I think it's something for the whole industry to keep working at, basically.
Do you think I mean, you can only speak for Zoopla. Do you think Zoopla have done enough trying to persuade homeowners this?
Well,
When if you think about it, if you don't mind me saying, you have your Zoopla,
yeah,
my Zoopla have given me X for my house if I log on to my computer.
yeah. No, look, I think so. We have a lot of people, 4.5 million people now tracking the value of their home and opening up and engaging the email on Zoopla. Part of the functionality within that now is letting people have a slider to push the price higher or lower, and it tells them how many sort of eyeballs they'll get and the likely level of demand. So I think we've certainly got a role to play in getting people to sort of think about the link between price and saleability. Um,
Do you think you could be better?
I'm sure yeah, I'm sure, but I think it's about how you package it for the consumer. I think where it's quite easy as a seller to just put your house on the market. And I could phone an agent, round the corner. I could have my house on the market before I know it, And again, I think it's almost so quick and easy to put houses on the market. And again, if people wait until they found a property to buy to then put it on the market, again, it's just getting people to realize that there's some things you can do and might want to think about before you dive in, basically. So I think that's the bit of friction I again think for the whole industry is identifying the serious sellers. And for people who really, really want to move, there's a bit of a checklist of the things you need to really do if you really want to move your home, right? If you really want to sort of find a buyer and get your home sold quickly.
What would your message be to estate agents on how to prove that, how to educate them? I mean, let's be honest, there's an awful lot of overvaluing out there. I'm one of the biggest people to put a spotlight on that. What would your message be to estate agents?
I think it's what comes back to your I don't know, you talk about this. It's, look at your conversion rates of all the, for every 10 homes you list, how many do you sell? How much sales commission is so it's people thinking about how do I benchmark to my competition on my saleability? And then it's a question of were those clients just absolutely adamant they wanted to get X for their property rather than the Y? And I think it's about identifying and segmenting who's asking you to put homes on the market, maybe adopting different tactics for different people. And again, if someone's absolutely adamant they want X, you can try and chat to them, but you want the instruction, you might hope that you get someone.
There
So,
you go. And that's the crux. I think an awful lot of estate agents want the listing more than the homeowner wants the sale.
but I think that's having that conversation about how serious are you? Because again, if there's a big difference between I'd like to put my house on the market, I'd love to get X, rather than I found something, I'm in a chain, I need to get my home sold and I can be reasonable on the price I get. I think it's understanding who the seller is, how serious are they, what position are they in, and it's about giving the advice. Because again, I think we've just done a big bit of consumer research about what consumers want, how they choose an agent. And of course, it's about reputation, it's about skills, but consumers want advice and not just advice up until the sold subject contract. They want an agent that's going to hold their hand all the way through the
I
process,
think there's a
basically.
massive opportunity there for estate agents to help with the onward purchase. And I still don't know why they don't.
Absolutely. So I think but it comes back to this giving advice, building a reputation. That's the way I think to attract business. But I think the challenge this is going to become even more important because if we really have very low 1, 2, 3% house price growth, people aren't making as much money, and so when they try and trade up or they're looking at the next deal, their existing home isn't unlocking a ton of opportunity for
No,
them.
because it's almost been easy for a estate agent. My house has gone up by 50 grand. Well, if it hasn't gone up by 50 grand, our job is going to be to come back to the original question, which is what does an era of low house prices mean for homeowners? Agents are going to need to educate them. In the fact is that theirs might have only gone up by 10 grand, but the one they want to buy has only gone up by 30 grand. And if it had gone up by 50 or 60, that would have gone up by 150. I don't think we're very good at that, are we?
No, and I think this is where mortgages come in and sort of, how much can you borrow? What does that do to help, bridge the gap as well as the equity you have? But yeah, I think again, I think consumers want to move, but again, it's sort of it's how does everyone, I mean, agents, marketing partners like us, agents themselves, and this is a point of differentiation for them in the local media, what they put out on Instagram and on social
Was being the local
channels.
property expert.
Well, yeah, and that's what it is basically, and that's what consumers tell us they want. They want people with expertise, a track records, recommendations
There you
from
go.
locals.
So remember, ladies and gentlemen, if all you're doing with your social media is putting your listings on, yeah, you might get the likes, but you're not going to get the listings. And that's what it's all about. If you want to attract people to you, become the local property expert, become the center of knowledge about your property, and you'll win. And you've got a great way to get your message out there with social media, haven't you?
Absolutely. And again, I think it's the videos, it's the people, it's the you, the person,
Yes,
because property is a people-related
it
industry.
is. It certainly is.
And I think again, what came out in the survey quite strongly was, consumers' sense of how responsive the agent would be, response to emails, response to calls, how available they were. And again, I think that the pitching when you walk into the office, the impression people get is all of that stuff really matters and could swing the deal.
Thank you for your time today, Richard.